A doubleheader day here at Skytop Stadium in Syracuse, New York, between the Orange and the Tigers of Clemson University. A good contest that should continue this first series ever between Syracuse and Clemson. Hi there, welcome inside Skytop Stadium. Thank you for joining us, Ben Schulman, alongside the former Syracuse slugger, Faith Kane. And Faith, it should be a great game today, but also senior day, the final home games for a lot of great SU players.
Well, they're going to be a little bit more pumped up today because it is senior day. And it's the last time we are going to see some key players like Alexa Romero, Tony Martin, taking the field here at Skytop Stadium.
The Orange brought that extra senior juice to yesterday's game, and it was an incredibly tight contest. You wouldn't have known this was one of the top teams in the ACC and one of the middle teams in the ACC.
Well, it's definitely something different than what we expected. We expected to see a lot of small ball from Syracuse, but it was all about the long ball. Paris Woods with a big home run, as well as Nelly Casares-Mayer. But Clemson took the win, and it was all thanks to Valerie Cagle, who only gave up 5 hits on the day.
Really, the only batter for Syracuse that could time up Cagle was Paris Woods. She had an awesome performance, Faith.
She had 2 of the 5 hits yesterday, and we're going to see her in a little bit of different spot from the lineup. She batted 9th yesterday, but now she's in that leadoff position. But then we also have to talk about Gabby Turan. She is someone that really struggled yesterday, didn't have a hit, but she is going to be key if this Orange team wants to beat Clemson.
Maybe positive for Turan. She doesn't have to take on Valerie Cagle, the stud pitcher for Clemson, but she's still very much a threat for this Tigers team.
Well, Cagle is someone who isn't going to be out of the lineup just because she's a pitcher. She also is a great left fielder and has one of the hottest bats for this Clemson team.
Making the start today for Syracuse in the circle, the lefty, Lindsey Hendricks, who Faith has a bit of a unique style.
She is another lefty. But one thing that she's going to do is she's going to be completely different than what we saw yesterday with Alexa Romero. She is going to keep the ball down and out, and then she's also going to throw a lot of off speed, so she's not going to overpower these hitters at all. There's going to be a lot more contact.
She pitched twice against Virginia Tech and gave up 2 earned runs in 6 innings. Now we take a look here at the Clemson lineup. Look, Cagle's the big star, but Marissa Gimbardo right behind her, really, really talented hitter.
Gimbardo went 3 for 3 yesterday, and her bat was on fire. So she's going to be a key player that the Orange is going to have to keep off balance today.
Another really talented player and another freshman like Cagle stepping in now, Mackenzie Clark. And the first pitch of the game is outside, 1-0. Mackenzie Clark, we were talking about it a bit before the game, Faith. You know, because of everything surrounding Cagle, she might not get the credit she deserves. She has had an incredible freshman season.
She has stepped up in that leadoff position, and she's dynamite, too, out there in that outfield. I mean, nothing's dropping in that green with her in center field.
This year, Clark hitting .360 with an over 1,000 OPS. Shows bunt and pulls back. A smart pull as that pitch was too low. And behind in the count early is Lindsey Hendricks. Faith, it's obviously a tall task for Hendricks coming up against this Clemson lineup. How important is it to throw strikes early and establish that strike zone?
Well, Hendricks is really a strike type of pitcher, but she's not going to strike out a lot of people. The best thing for her to do is keep them super off balance. So we want to see a lot of Clemson players start leaning and everything, and that's the type of pitcher that Hendricks is.
A strike there gets it to a full count. So when she's pitching to contact then, not striking people out, more fly ball or ground ball are you looking for from Hendricks?
We're probably going to see a lot more ground balls from Hendricks. Hendricks isn't going to throw up in the zone usually, but she did let that one kind of slip out of her hands.
That's a leadoff walk for Mackenzie Clark as that ball rises above the strike zone. And now we'll peer over at the SU defense today.
Number 8.
Tony Martin, Faith, another one of those seniors. She is so important in center field for this team.
Well, this Orange's outfield, I mean, twice Sports Center top 10, and Coach Deb King definitely takes pride in her outfield, and they really do go all-out effort. I mean, you'll see them diving left and right today if there's any ball hit their way.
Paris Woods had a great diving catch yesterday, maybe a Sports Center top 10, as that bounces through the legs of Torres, and moving up to second base is Clark on the wild pitch. early runner in scoring position for Clemson. Last game, Syracuse struck first. Right now, the Tigers trying to get it started early. And you could see the rain pouring down right now, Faith. That's got to have a bit of an effect on the grip that everyone's going to have on the ball, especially Lindsey Hendricks.
Well, with the rain and being a pitcher, you know, being able to get that ball snap off, and when the ball's wet, it does take effect. And it even takes effect, too, you know, if the ball's hit into the outfield or even in the infield and just trying to make that throw, that ball is going to be wet, so you have to be a little bit more careful with your throw.
Perhaps the loose grip affecting Hendricks there as she beans Gilstrap in the back. Ansley Gilstrap, the shortstop, gets down to first base, and 2 base runners on before an out has been recorded here for Syracuse. It's first and second for Clemson. This is exactly the situation Shannon Depking wants to avoid. Valerie Cagle, the power-hitting left fielder today, stepping up with a runner in scoring position. She was 1 for 2 yesterday, looks at a first pitch ball. A quick conversation here, or rather an early conversation in the game. Faith, it's difficult when you start out like this at first and second. How do you try and settle down? Maybe if you are the first baseman coming into that huddle, what are you going to say to your pitcher to try and give them words of encouragement?
I mean, the best thing you can do as a defense right now is say, I got your back. Hendricks right now, she's been walking batters, hit batter. So you just want to let her know, you know, go ahead, put it in that zone, and I'm going to make a play for you.
A walk and a wild pitch to start the game for Lindsey Clark. Shannon Depking's team in a bit of trouble. And, I mean, she, the whole time we talked to her this week, was just marveling at the talent of Valerie Cagle. She said she'd take someone that had either of the phases as talented as Cagle does, both pitching and hitting. Strike on the outside corner there on Cagle. It's 1-1. Any two-way players that even come close to Cagle that you've seen in your time, Faith?
You know, it doesn't happen very often, and the only person I can really think of is Garcia from UCLA right now. And, you know, Cagle all the way up there, and she was the National Player of the Year, Garcia from UCLA last year. So you don't see it very often. So the fact that she's really come in, you know, really respect this game and realize that this is a player that can do it all, and it does not happen very often.
Cagle, a National Player of the Year finalist this year, fouls off another fastball. Count stays at 1-2. Hendricks, not necessarily a strikeout pitcher, but could be looking for a K here. And Cagle, despite all her successes, does lead Clemson in strikeouts this season with 19 on the year. The 1-2 pitch. Liner foul again. Cagle in her second freshman season came up with Clemson in 2020, had the year cut off, now back in 2021 with 4 years of eligibility. And Shannon Depking was very blunt with us that she's not excited for that as the 1-2 veers outside, 2-2. This whole Clemson team is so young, and considering the fact that they're this talented already, it's a nightmare for the ACC right now to have a majority freshman team leading the conference in the standings. And Lindsey Hendricks having a lot of trouble here right now with Cagle. The count is full. It sat at 1-2 at one point. Now Hendricks prepares for the payoff pitch. 3-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. First out recorded today for Syracuse, and it's a big one for Lindsey Hendricks, who gets Cagle to fan there.
That was a huge pitch by Hendricks, that inside, right downside low, and that, I mean, if you want to strike out anybody, you might as well strike out Cagle, the best hitter in the lineup, one of the best.
Could see a little subtle encouragement there on the face of Hendricks as the first pitch to the cleanup hitter, Marissa Gimbarda, is inside. It's got to be a weight lifted off the shoulders just to get that first out and to get it against the toughest hitter in the lineup. Gimbarda is no slouch herself, though. went 3 for 3 in yesterday's game. The 1-0 misses well up and in, 2-0. Going up against someone who hits for so much power, like Gimbarda, what's the approach in terms of pitch location?
Well, when you have a hitter like this, you really want to try to keep her off balance, which is what Hendricks does. That's her specialty. And you want to keep it down in the zone, low. You don't want to get anything up towards the letters because those are the balls that hitters like to take over the fence.
Wide open stance for Gimbarda. A ball up and in. And in danger of giving up another free pass is Lindsey Hendricks. She walked Mackenzie Clark to start the inning, then hit Ansley Gilstrap with a pitch. Most recently recorded a strikeout. The 3-1 pitch. Ground ball towards third base. Picked up by Clyde. Steps on the bag. Across the diamond. Double play. Lindsey Hendricks gets into trouble and then just as quickly gets out of it.
That was a huge play by Reba over there at third base to be able to go ahead, get that out at third, and then throw it across the diamond.
Syracuse holds Clemson to 0. Now they try to put up some runs when we come back. Syracuse and Clemson move to the bottom of the first inning here at Skytop Stadium, the second game of a 4-game series. Ben Schulman, joined by Faith Kane, the former SU star. And on the mound right now for Clemson, or in the circle rather, is Millie Thompson. It's a lefty-on-lefty matchup. Faith, what does Thompson bring to the table?
Thompson is going to be a little bit different than what we saw from Cagle. She's actually going to throw in the mid-60s. She has a really good changeup and likes to work up in the zone. She has that beautiful rise ball. And these are two pitches that the Syracuse offense definitely struggles with.
Now we'll take a look at the Syracuse batting order. We mentioned earlier, Paris Woods moves up from 9 to 1, but Leilani Mayfield, the designated player at 5, may have got back into the swing of things last game.
Well, she came up big, had a hit. And for Mayfield, this is someone that Coach Deb King is just rooting for. I mean, now it's her senior weekend, just someone that they're really looking to really step up big.
She talked at length about Mayfield's progression, not just as a player, but as a person, and said she's always in her corner. But Mayfield will have to wait, as leading off for the Orange is Paris Woods, really the star for SU last game. Not only 2 for 3 with the home run, the incredible diving catch in the first inning, and potentially an injection into this offense that really needs one right now late in the season. Thompson's first pitch, a show of bunt there. But she pulls back on a called strike, and you could see on the right side of your screen, Aaliyah Logaleo, the third baseman, creeping in close. Swing and a miss there, and we heard the audible grunt there, Faith, from Thompson, and that's something we're going to keep hearing.
She is someone that likes to get in the circle, and she says she likes to be unique and different, bring something different to the table.
Liner to the left side, stabbed by Logaleo. Allowed out to start the game for Syracuse. That play made at third by Logaleo. Let's take a look at who's playing with her. Mackenzie Clark, we talked about her great offense. Her defense, just as good, if not better.
Clemson's defense, though, has struggled at times this year. That's something that Coach Rittman mentioned as it was really their Achilles heel. So that's something that they're definitely looking to perfect as they go into later this season.
Coach mentioned he thinks it's an improvement, but still they need to clean it up. They're a team who feels confident in their ability to score runs. It's stopping other teams that's going to be the challenge. Although when you've won 18 in a row, you're doing something pretty well. And right now, Millie Thompson is getting ahead of the count here on Angel Hasso. Thompson looks for her first strikeout today, and she gets it. Tipped into the glove of JoJo Hyatt, quickly 2 down.
Thompson just gets really aggressive in that circle, and she's someone that's actually improved greatly since she's been on campus. And you just saw that was a beautiful curveball right on the outside corner. And it was even a little bit off the plate, so she set up Angel Hasso well.
Now Nelly Casares-Mayer looks at the first pitch. It's a strike. Really the bread and butter of this offense. For a team that struggles to find consistency with the bat, she's the exact opposite. Casares-Mayer has hit in every game for SU.
Well, she's one player that has stepped into the box and is consistent every at-bat. This Syracuse offense has very much struggled this year, but she's one player that you want the bat in her hands because you know she's going to stay consistent and she's going to do what she needs to do.
Ground ball foul up the third base line. In the first inning of yesterday's game, she hit a ball off of Cagle over the fence in right center field, perhaps trying to replicate that here and give Syracuse an early lead. For a team that is not expected to score a lot of runs, how important is getting on top of the opponent and trying to score first?
It's extremely important for a team like Syracuse, since they do struggle offensively, because they're going to have to shut down that offensive side of the ball.
Line shot to center, but it goes right to Mackenzie Clark. Syracuse Clemson scoreless, second inning next. Still searching for our first run here in Syracuse in this matchup between SU and Clemson. The Orange offense got some good contact. Now they go back on the defensive side, and Lindsey Hendricks heads back into the circle. The defense has been a strong point for Syracuse this season without a ton of offensive consistency. Faith, we saw that to end the first inning.
The Orange's offense, they have kind of been the saving grace for this season for the Orange. I mean, they're making great plays behind their pitchers. We especially see it in the outfield, and the infield overall is solid. Struggled a little bit last weekend against Virginia Tech, but overall has been solid all around.
Turned a 5-3 double play to end the first. There was first and second for Clemson with nobody out, but Lindsey Hendricks got out of it. Now she takes on Grace Matamore. Matamore is a junior out of Ashburn, Virginia, about 30 minutes west of Washington, D.C. She transferred from Army West Point in 2020. In the dirt there, 2-0. Matamore was incredibly solid for Army in 2019, the year before she transferred. Hit over 300 and over 1,000 OPS. But hasn't translated exactly to Clemson. Still solid numbers. An OPS around 730. 3-0, Faith. This is I was going to say this is going to be a fastball right in there, but she beat me to it. Still 3-1. Are you expecting something to be in and around the middle of the zone?
I would have to say she has to. Right now, she's really struggling trying to find that strike zone, and she just needs to relax and let her defense work. So definitely bring it into the zone.
Hendricks does right there. Has come back to even up this count.
And that shows you how confident, too, she is in her off-speed. That was an off-speed pitch. And the fact that she decided to throw that on 3-1 just shows you that that's one of her better pitches.
On the ground towards third, foul. Matamore went 1 for 3 in yesterday's game with a walk, also struck out.
You win this, come on. Come on, trust yourself. Trust it, kid, trust it.
3-2 from Hendricks. Fouled off again. Pitch count is really starting to rise, Faith, considering there isn't even an out here in the second inning. What are the implications of potentially getting up into the 30s or 40s before this inning is over?
Well, from the Syracuse's pitching staff, they like to really use the entirety of their staff. We're probably going to see all their pitchers this entire weekend.
3-2, a line shot foul.
Romero is really the pitcher that kind of goes the length and will go for a full 7 innings. But Hendricks, we may only see her through maybe the 3rd or 4th inning, depending on how Clemson starts to jump on her pitches. And then they're going to switch it out and try to get Clemson thinking about a new pitcher.
Romero started game 1 yesterday. 3-2 again, fouled off again. And Kaya Oliver would be the next pitcher that Syracuse could go to as well.
And Matamore is doing a really good job right now. You know, those pitches are on the outside corners. Hendricks is throwing a lot of off speed, and she's just sitting back trying to foul it off because she's waiting for that fastball to come right in the zone, and that's the one she wants to try to drive.
Does she get it here? Looked like it. She was early and fouled it off. In your perspective, is it better to throw one closer to the middle of the zone and risk giving up a hit, or try and fight for the corners but risk giving up a walk here?
Well, at this level, you don't want to give hitters anything too juicy to hit, because any hitter now can just hit it over the fence because this is the college level. But you're going to want to hit an outside corner, but you want to get just enough of that white that it's going to be a great call, or at least to have the hitter thinking about swinging.
Matamore does have a homer this season, 4 extra base hits overall. And in a long battle here to start the top of the second, 3-2 again. The battle finally ends with Matamore succeeding. She heads down to first base. 3rd free pass already let go by Lindsey Hendricks, if you count the hit by pitch back in the 1st.
Well, that was a great at-bat by Matamore. I mean, she just kept fouling off all those pitches to be able to draw a walk, and that's what you want to do as a hitter when you step up in those situations.
Number 16.
And Syracuse head coach Shannon Depking talked to us this week about how the more you see pitches, she was referencing Kegel, the more information you're going to collect. That was a lot of information that Matamore just got there on Lindsey Hendricks that she can relay to teammates. Now Logaleo with a liner, but it's right into the glove of Tehran. So after a 10-11 pitch walk, a 1 pitch out there, that's got to be a bit of relief there for Hendricks.
Yeah, she's probably feeling good about that one. She's like, I just want to throw 1 pitch and get on out of this circle.
Number 42.
Maybe the long Matamore at bat incentive to challenge some of the hitters more. But coming up, Morgan Johnson here. Not an easy hitter to go right after. Johnson had a single and an RBI in yesterday's game. Johnson is the tallest player on this Clemson team at 6'1". But Hendricks can't find the top of the zone. She's searching for it there, but has missed high twice in a row.
Being a tall hitter, I completely understand how it feels out there. You know, your strike zone is a little bit bigger than everyone else's.
There's got to be a bit of a give and take, though. Like, what's the major incentive to being a tall hitter?
You know, when you're a tall hitter, you can really use your legs. You can use your body to be able to have a lot more power. But then again, you have a lot more chances for strikeouts because you have that taller and bigger zone as well out there.
It didn't seem to be a huge issue for you when you played. You managed to overcome the big strike zone and still hit at a very high level.
Well, you get used to it after a little bit.
The freshman Morgan Johnson still trying to get used to it right now. What helps? She's ahead in the count 3-0. Thought she had the walk there, but that was right down the pipe from Hendricks, who tries to get back in here down 3-1. SU defense could use another double play. Ball on the ground to third. Clyde has it. Goes over to second for the lead runner. That's all they'll get. But another strong play at third base by Rebecca Clyde helps keep Clemson at bay. And with 2 outs, JoJo Hyatt, the catcher, steps in.
The catcher.
And Hendricks has done a lot better job this inning. She's letting her defense work. Her defense is making plays, and that's what she just needs to do. She needs to trust it. You even see Gianna Torres sitting back there, and she said, just trust it. You know, trust your defense, trust your pitch, and allow them to do their job.
First pitch to Hyatt up. Torres with her eye on the runner right now. It's Morgan Johnson after the fielder's choice. In yesterday's game, Torres threw out Valerie Cagle in the first inning trying to steal. 2-0 again to Hyatt. Or ball up again. Now it's 2-0. Hendricks has managed so far, Faith, but playing with fire a little bit to go down 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 so often in these counts.
Well, the one thing she's definitely got to change is she's got to get in front of these hitters, you know, throwing at least a strike in one of your first two pitches. When you are behind an account like this, a hitter's mentality when they step up is they're like, okay, all I'm doing is I'm looking for a good pitch. You know, I may start thinking about, all right, all I want is a ball on the inside. If I don't get it, I can let it go, even if it is a strike.
That one was not a strike, and another walk. Third in the first two innings for Lindsay Hendricks.
The second baseman, number 12, Cami Pereira.
Bottom of the order, Cami Pereira, but she didn't hit like your typical 9-hitter yesterday. Went 3 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored.
This is the hitter that's had the hot bat all weekend, so a big out here will be a huge confidence booster for Hendricks.
One of the few upperclassmen on this Clemson team. So many freshmen because this program is so young, and they were trying to recruit 9th, 10th graders in 2019 when they were getting the team together. Pereira lines one towards right center. It hooks into the glove of Angel Hasso, and it remains scoreless. Syracuse and Clemson jockeying, but no one can get on top right now. You're watching softball on ACC Network Extra. Shannon Depking's team looking to get on the board here in the bottom of the second inning. Syracuse and Clemson scoreless from the 3-1-5, Syracuse University. And it's the third year that Depking has been with the program. Obviously, Faith, you have experience with her, and her attitude towards the game is just awesome. We saw it in our coaches' call this week.
She is definitely trying to change the culture there at Syracuse. You know, I stopped playing the year right before she actually came in, and her biggest thing right when she came in was, I want to change the culture. I want this to be a family-oriented team, and she's definitely done that, and I can see it even on these players. Talked to Alexa Romero before the game a few weeks ago, and she said, this team is just so close-knit, and it's just such a good feeling, you know, not having all the drama on the team that they had in years past.
And Depking would deflect that credit right back to the seniors. She talked about how they've really laid the foundation for this team because they're so loyal, hardworking, and just do the little things right. And it's translated into Syracuse having a shot to get to the ACC tournament this year and maybe try and win their first ACC tournament game ever. Leading off the bottom of the second, Gabby Teran quickly down 0-1. Teran has struggled over the last stretch, but she sends the ball to left center field there, and that gets down for a base hit. First knock of the game for either team, and for a hitter like Teran that was struggling, went 0 for 3 yesterday. Massive to get that hit early.
Well, she's a player that it hasn't exactly been the best senior year for Teran, but overall she's still just the trustworthy player that Coach Depking loves to see out there, and she's still someone that she wants the bat in her hand.
As she said, quote, I still trust her 100%. And now with Teran on first, Leilani Mayfield, the designated player. In the last Virginia Tech game, not yesterday, but last weekend, a lot of the time Syracuse would get a runner on and then bunt them over. So don't be surprised if the Orange look to put Teran in scoring position right now. Inside ball 2. What's your philosophy there? Obviously the bunt moves you into scoring position, but also it could potentially limit a big inning because if you string hits together, then, you know, giving up the free out is not as conducive to offense.
Well, with this Syracuse offense that's really struggling, you kind of need to play small ball sometimes, you know, to get innings going and get that runner just moved over into scoring position. You know, they are one of the last in the ACC for batting average as a team, so you kind of have to do anything to make those runs work. And if bunting is what does it and stealing is what does it, then you got to do what you got to do.
Didn't need to bunt to get a runner in scoring position there. Although there's a little bit of confusion. The umpire has there's confusion on the count here. There were 3 straight balls called before that pitch because the appeal down to second was deemed no swing. We've worked it out. It's a walk. Leilani Mayfield heads down to first base. Gabby Turan pushed into scoring position. And in the early stages of this game, now the best opportunity for Syracuse to try to get going.
Well, this is part of the game where Syracuse has really struggled, is coming up with the big key hits. So now you do have runners in scoring position. This is when you really need hitters to come through and make massive hits, get those base runners over. You know, usually they can get 1 or 2 runners on, but it really comes down to getting runs scored.
So if you're coming up right now, you're Gianna Torres. What's priority number 1 in this at-bat? What's your approach going to be?
Overall, you just want to make sure that those 2 runners are moved over, that she can get Gabby Turan over to third base and get her even closer to scoring position.
Tries to do it here with a bunt. There'll be no throw to third, and instead the sacrifice is successful. So you mentioned Torres trying to get the runners over. She does just that with a sacrifice bunt, and Tony Martin comes up in a big spot.
And that was huge for Torres. Beautiful bunt. Get it down. That's all you need to do to get that runner moved over. And Gabby Turan has a lot of speed, so definitely was not going to get her out at third.
It was a pretty cleanly fielded bunt. I think maybe to most people there would be a shot at third, but you're right, Turan with her speed gave Clemson no shot. And Millie Thompson in trouble for the first time today up against Tony Martin, the center fielder. Turan's leadoff single and then the subsequent walk to Mayfield have the Orange in a good spot.
Well, now Tony Martin can come up to bat, and she has a runner at third and second, and all she needs to do is get the ball into the outfield.
She does just that with a liner that gets down in the gap. This could be extra bases. 1 run in to score. That's Turan. Sliding into second is Martin with a 2 RBI double. The Orange are on the board thanks to their center fielder.
That was a huge hit by Martin, and I'm sure she is super happy with that one because she is someone that has really struggled at the plate this year. But coming up, first pitch, she takes that ball, and I mean, that ball was practically right down the middle, and that was a beautiful double. And then Gabby Turan was easily able to score, as well as Leilani Mayfield.
RBIs 12 and 13 on the season for Tony Martin, who's had a smile on her face pretty much since she got to second base. And Syracuse still in a very threatening position here, Faith. You know, they haven't strung hits together well a lot of this season, but they're doing it right now and pretty close to bringing up the top of the order once again. Rebecca Clyde's going to come up next. Callie Almer is the 9-hitter. And then we're back to Paris Woods, who was the most dangerous batter.
Rebecca Clyde, number 3.
She's flashed the leather a couple times already today. Rebecca Clyde with a chance to drive in more runs for Syracuse. A big priority for Depking in this game, or in this series rather, is for Syracuse to not swing at pitches that start at the bottom of the zone and drop out into the dirt. But how much easier is that said than done, Faith?
The drop ball is one of the toughest pitches to hit, and you're not going to see that a lot out of Millie Thompson today, but you'll see it a lot out of Cagle, and we may see her in the second game of this doubleheader today. And overall, I mean, when Syracuse really struggles is when they start expanding the zone and swinging at pitches that aren't hitters' pitches, that are out of the zone. So definitely that's key today.
A swing there on 2-0 yields no results. It's 2-1. Clyde hitting 160 this season. Yesterday she was 0 for 2, did reach base on a hit by pitch, also struck out. And that's that strike zone expansion right there, right, Faith? I mean, that looked like it was a few inches outside.
And that was ball 3 right there, and that's something that Syracuse is really going to have to watch. They need to lay off of those pitches.
3-1 would be a totally different outlook than it is right now on 2-2. Millie Thompson's pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3.
And she set up with Rebecca Clyde the same pitch back to back to back. Those 3 strikes were exactly on the outside corner, right in the river, right between that batter's box and home plate. And you can see it right there. That's a ball. And Rebecca Clyde has got to lay off of that pitch.
From Thompson's perspective, if it's working, keep going to it. I mean, if it ain't broke, why would you change? 3 straight swing and misses. Now potential to limit the damage here to just 2. Callie Ulmer up with a runner on second. Ulmer, the grad transfer from Dartmouth. Waves at a pitch there and just couldn't get the timing right on Thompson.
And that's that off speed that you're going to see from Thompson a lot. And she'll throw it anywhere in the count. So she may even throw it first pitch. She'll also throw it for a strikeout pitch. So you can expect it anywhere during your at-bat.
Rolled over to the right side, picked up Pereira, flips over to Matamore, and Clemson gets out of it, but not before Tony Martin opens the scoring with a 2-run double. The Orange lead and try to hold it in the top of the 3rd. Lots of ACC tournament implications in these couple series in the final weekend for the Atlantic Coast Conference. Clemson, of course, atop the conference, battling with Florida State, who plays Pittsburgh. That's jockeying for position with Syracuse. And this Pittsburgh-Florida State series is getting pretty interesting. FSU, obviously one of the most dominant teams in the ACC, but they lost yesterday on a walk-off homer by Cammie Compson. And Faith, you've been in situations in playoff races. The two teams have to be watching the games of each other, right, to see what's going on?
So it's really interesting. Clemson actually was in their hotel last night, and they all have to be in separate rooms because, you know, COVID and coronavirus, all that stuff, and just staying separated. And they actually said, you know, when you walk down the hall, and right when Compson from Pitt hit that walk-off home run, all you heard was the girls all cheering from all different rooms, you know, for that game. So now they only have to win 2 games today, and they have locked up the regular season ACC champ.
What a remarkable feat that would be for a Clemson team that's in its first full season. Mackenzie Clark leading off this inning. She walked in the first, advanced to second on a wild pitch, and then was called out as part of a 5-3 double play started by Rebecca Clyde. Faith, we've been looking at all the scenarios, and a lot could change, but there's a chance with the way things shake out, these two teams could play each other in the ACC tournament.
Right now, if standings were to stay exactly the same, Syracuse could actually see them on Thursday, May 13th, in the second round of the ACC tournament. Of course, they're going to probably see Pitt or possibly Georgia Tech. It all kind of depends what's happening this weekend.
The way the bracket shakes out for the ACC is that 7 to 10 seeds have an extra play-in game. 8 plays 9, 7 plays 10. The winner of 8-9 goes up against 1, which is right now Clemson, and the 2 is Florida State. 3-1, hit well to left field, coming in towards it. Woods makes the catch. Faith, a lot of people around the 315 know that for Syracuse, winning a game in the ACC tournament has been a challenge. Shannon Depking, though, seems to be pretty confident that this could be the year that the Orange finally do it.
Well, especially this year, you know, they're going to have that play-in game where until you get to that second round, until you're facing that number 1 or number 2 seeded team in the tournament. So definitely have a chance this year of winning that first game. And I remember playing too, that was our goal. And so many times it's like Syracuse has just lost just by 1 run in that first game of the ACC tournament and have been so close so many times.
Depking talked about how there were clear divisions, she thought, within the ACC as Gilstrap grounds it to the left side. No play for Casares Mayer. She made a good stop, but lost her footing, and it would have been a tough turn and throw anyway.
That was a good stop by Nelly Casares Mayer, just for her to be able to stop that. Actually possibly stopped a double. But, just being deep in that grass, especially with how wet it is, save yourself and protect yourself. You don't want to get hurt out there either.
An infield single for Ansley Gilstrap, who's reached in both her plate appearances today. Now Valerie Cagle puts a bunt down in fair territory, and the Orange can't get her. Looked like a close play. Tehran was covering first as Ulmer charged in for the bunt, and Cagle has a bunt base hit.
Well, that was a beautiful bunt and a great idea to throw down that button. That was a bang play. Very, very close. I think it could have gone either way. But for the most part, everyone's going to play Cagle back. They're not going to be on the defense. They're not going to play her up because they don't expect her to bunt. So for her to just be able to drop that was huge.
First pitch swinging, Gimbarda skies one to right field. Caught by Hasso. Gets it back into the infield, but not before Gilstrap scurries to third base. So runners on first and third. Gilstrap 90 feet away from home, 60 feet rather, and Cagle remains on first. After that bunt base hit. Do you think Cagle was trying to get a base hit there, Faith? I'm really not sure whether she was trying to sacrifice, get a base hit, or maybe it was a little bit of an in-between.
I think a lot of it was, thinking about moving the runners, but also she knew that the defense was playing back. They weren't expecting a bunt from her, so why not just drop it right in front, especially on that first pitch.
Showed off her incredible speed. Trying to knock her in is Grace Mattamore. Ball in the dirt. Good block there from Torres. Every pitch on the ground becomes a lot more dangerous now, considering Clemson has its first runner at third today in Gilstrap.
And one thing I really like seeing is Gianna Torres is definitely speaking to Hendricks out there. Hendricks is just a freshman. So for her to come into this big situation and Syracuse has a lead is huge. And one thing you notice that she keeps saying is she says, use your legs. And this is something that Coach Depking actually spoke to us about, where she said, she spoke to Hendricks after a game and said, did you use your legs today? And she said, no, I forgot. And that was just a moment where Coach Depking was like, what? You can't forget to use your legs. So I'm sure this is just a constant reminder for her while she's out there pitching.
And Depking also mentioned earlier this year, she's a freshman who got the most abbreviated practice training camp before coming into the season that any freshman has really ever gotten in the history of this program. So to come in and not be adequately, acclimated to what collegiate baseball is going to be like, she's fared very well.
The third baseman, number 16, Aaliyah Lagaleo.
In some trouble now, though, trying to protect that 2-0 lead that Syracuse established in the bottom of the second. Logaleo up with the bases loaded and 2 outs. She lined out to second last time. It was a hard out there.
Well, overall, I wouldn't say the walk was a bad idea, even though it happened, because now you have the bases loaded, and anywhere this ball is hit into the field, you have a play at any plate or any base. So that walk overall, I think, was an okay position to be in.
What's your top priority on the infield defense right now with the bases loaded, 2 outs?
Well, when you're playing defense like this, you're not going to play in like you have to get that runner out at home. You're going to play back, and you're just going to go to the easiest base.
Rounded up the middle. Tehran has it, flips to short, not in time. Decided not to go to the bag herself. and a run comes in for Clemson. 2 split-second plays have cost the Orange runs.
It looked like one of those where Nelly just quite didn't have a full grip on it when Matamore came in for the slide. But, you know, Gabby Teran, she really stuck with that and was able to get it in. But Nelly did a great job with that overall. You can see they're smiling about it. They know, you know, maybe they could have communicated a little bit better. And I think Coach Depking may be talking to the umpire now, too.
So why wouldn't she just take it to the base, though, instead of flipping it over to short?
You know, I think something like that, she may not have realized how close she was to the base. Now, definitely for Teran, she's fast enough. She could have got there. Maybe didn't think she could get there in time, but Teran is definitely fast enough to make that play. So maybe a little bit bad decision on her spot for that play.
It allows Aaliyah Logaleo to reach on a fielder's choice. Clemson on the board. And Hendricks is far from out of the woods. First pitch to Morgan Johnson low. You can really hear the Tigers now. With the floodgates open, the ACC's leading team is making their voice heard. And here comes back the Syracuse dugout. You know, how much of an impact does that have, Faith? I mean, it's fun, and everyone loves the, you know, the pageantry of collegiate softball and collegiate baseball, what they do in the dugout. Does it make a real impact?
Overall, I mean, yeah, you hear that you hear it kind of in the back of your head for the most part when you're out there and you're playing. You kind of try to zone in on what's happening in the game, and that's when you have it the most successful. But Syracuse is a very loud team, and you can tell Clemson is coming right back with the noise.
1-2 pitch. Misses up and away. 1 strikeout today for Hendricks. She got Valerie Cagle swinging back in the first inning. A strike away from keeping Syracuse on top as we move towards the bottom of the third. This is high again.
You know, someone for Hendricks, too, because you can just definitely hear how loud that Clemson dugout is right now, as well as Syracuse. But Hendricks is just a freshman, and she's in a huge situation. So definitely can shake her up a little bit.
She fights through it for the strikeout. SU still on top, 2-1. Lindsay Hendricks mobbed as her teammates, and now Woods, Hasso, and Casares Mayer will try to get it back.
And that was a big play by the freshman. Huge out.
Syracuse had a happy end to the inning, but not everyone was ecstatic about how the top of the third went. The Orange coaching staff voicing their concerns over a couple close calls, maybe the last one at second, and that's going to get you ejected. Emotions running high here between Syracuse and Clemson, and Michael Stewart has been taken out of the game.
And he definitely isn't happy about something. Not quite sure what exactly he is arguing about. But emotions are definitely running high. I mean, this is a big game for both of these teams.
And, you know, emotions are even more elevated, I think, because after last series, you know, Syracuse really not in a ton of the games. You know, through the first game and now the first 2.5 innings here, they're right locked in with Clemson, and that's going to make everything bigger, everything have a higher magnitude.
It'll be interesting, too, because not sure if Torres calls the pitches or Stewart may be calling the pitches. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of happens in this situation now that, you know, the pitching coach is gone.
Good news for SU. Their head coach, Shannon Depking, was a catcher, so potentially she could take over if there was a vacancy that needed to be filled there. Right now, though, the Orange on offense. Parents Woods' second time at the plate. She had a hard liner to third to start this game. Shows bunt, puts it up the left side, scooped up by Logaleo, and she won't get it there in time. Had a bit of difficulty on the transfer. bunt base hits for each team now in the third inning. Woods' speed is pretty elite there, Faith.
She's doing great right at the top of that lineup. Sometimes for teams, you want your best hitters as your number one hitter, and then also the 9-hole hitter, which is where Paris Woods has usually been this season. But Coach Deb King says, whoever has the hot bat, that's who's going to lead off this game. And Paris Woods has definitely proven herself.
Woods gets on with a bunt. Now Hasso trying to bunt as well. She put it out there a little earlier, so perhaps sacrificing more the intent than getting on herself. With the bunts, is there something to the effect of, it's raining pretty hard right now, test the defense, see if they're going to make a mistake?
Well, even Clemson has said it.
Ground ball to the right side, and that's just going to be a play at first for Matamore.
Clemson has said it that, their defense is the Achilles heel. That's something that they've struggled with this season. So why not? Let's put the ball in play. Let's get it on the ground. Make them make plays, make them mess up. And I think that's what the Syracuse offense is doing right now.
That chopper does the same as a bunt would, moves Paris Woods over to second. For Nelly Casares-Mayer, the most prolific hitter on this Syracuse team, leading the team in OPS. Casares-Mayer currently riding a 4-game hit streak. 5 for her last 10 with 2 extra base hits. And Thompson might not offer something up to Casares-Mayer that she wants, because potentially setting up the force here might be a better option than giving a really strong power hitter a shot at a good ball. She laces one right there down the right field line, just foul.
Well, one thing that Thompson has really been doing is she's been keeping that ball on the outside corner, low and outside. And what we've seen a little earlier with this Syracuse offense is they're really trying to pull that ball. But what they need to do is do exactly what Nelly Casares-Mayer just did there, was wait for that ball to get deep and then take it to the right side.
Is there any movement in the batter's box? Maybe you step a little closer to the plate, try to crowd it, to cover that outside corner?
It's kind of whatever you feel comfortable with. If you really struggle with that outside pitch, then maybe.
Second straight line drive down the right field line. Casares-Mayer timing it up just a little too late on it, but she's hit 150-foot and now 120-foot strikes to go from 2-0 to 2-2. Pouring rain right now on Skytop Softball Stadium. You can see there the temperature getting into the low 40s. Some home field advantage right now for the Orange. Casares-Mayer rolls one, this time up the third baseline foul.
Well, it's going to get tough to make plays, and, that's another reason why Syracuse may be playing this small ball, getting the defense to work, because that ball gets slick, especially, as it's going through the air. You're not going to be able to have a good grip on that ball, and you're just going to have to try the best you can to get it where you need it to go.
Seeing this weather right now, I'm thinking of the old Buffalo Bills adage, when it's too cold for them, it's just right for us. Did you feel you guys had an advantage sometimes over warm weather teams like Clemson or Florida State in games like this?
Sometimes, but I remember an exact moment. There was a time where I was at first base, and my second baseman, who was Alicia Hansen at the time, looked at me and she said, "My hands are so cold that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this ball to you." The ball was hit straight to her, and it went right underneath my glove, right at my feet. So definitely the cold will mess you up while you're out there.
Takes no prisoners. The 2-2 outside. Moving to pitch number 8 in this at-bat for Casares-Mayer. Woods on second. The payoff. Ground ball foul again. Casares-Mayer went 1 for 2 in yesterday's game, a home run and a walk. That home run gave her the best season total of home runs she's ever had, with 6. Hit 5 back in 2019 as a sophomore. Shannon Defking braving the cold right now. I think that's a pretty nonchalant outfit for 42-degree weather. Just the sweatshirt on there. She's ready to go. The 3-2 again to Casares Mayer, fouled off again.
And both these teams have done a great job today just battling pitches off and making these pitchers throw a lot. And that's going to get tough and going to be key when we start hitting the 6th and 7th inning.
Firing up the Syracuse dugout as we just saw. Millie Thompson trying to solve this puzzle. Can she do it here? She will not. A long, hard-earned walk for Nelly Casares Mayer. And now with 2 on, we flip over to Gabby Turan, who really started the offensive day for Syracuse. A little dance party going on in their faith.
Syracuse loves to be loud. They love to have lots of fun in the dugout, and that's one thing too. McKenna Fiddler, Olivia Pess, both of them are freshmen that don't get to play a lot, but they are on that bench, and they are constantly having fun, talking to the team, and that really is all about culture. You know, just being able to have players that are sitting on the bench and having a lot of fun is huge.
That culture that has been built by seniors like Gabby Turan, being celebrated today on Senior Day. And she doesn't want to go out quietly at a single and a run back in the 2nd inning. Chance to do more damage here. Lays a bunt down right in front of the plate. Throw to first just in time. A close call. The runners are moved over, and Turan narrowly gets a base hit. Instead, it's Millie Thompson with her 2nd out of the inning.
And I think that bunt was not for a sacrifice. She saw, you can see both defense corners playing back. So she was just trying to lay that bunt right in front of the plate, which she did a great job. Just couldn't get there to first base in time.
Less than half a step, a split second. But still 2 runners in scoring position for Leilani Mayfield, who scored Syracuse's 2nd run back in the 2nd inning. Mayfield has hits in back-to-back games, including a single yesterday. And Thompson's quickly behind her. There is a base open, so no need for Thompson to go too inside the zone. She can walk Mayfield if necessary, obviously not preferable. Mayfield with 11 RBIs this season. 2 available right now on 2nd and 3rd. The delayed strike call there moves the count to 2-2.
And that's such a tough pitch to hit. And I would not be surprised here if we saw Millie Thompson come back hard and inside after throwing 2 off speeds to Leilani Mayfield.
Here's Thompson's 2-2. Low check swing. Umpire says she did swing. So it's a strikeout to end the inning for Millie Thompson, who escapes a couple runners on base. And Clemson now can get back to the at-bats.
And it looks like right here, she did break the plane. And that was strike 3.
One of the mid-level ACC teams in Syracuse hanging in right now with the number 1 team in the conference, Clemson. The Orange lead 2-1. Ben Schulman with Faith Kane here in Syracuse. And there are a couple games, Faith, going on around the conference today that have an impact on Syracuse's standing for the upcoming ACC tournament. We already talked about yesterday's game from Florida State and Pittsburgh. They're playing again today. And Georgia Tech, who's right behind Syracuse, is in action as well against Boston College. Leading off the 4th inning for Clemson, the catcher JoJo Hyatt walked in the 2nd. 4th inning of work for Lindsey Hendricks. Starts it off with a strike. Hendricks with only 1 run allowed so far, and it was unearned as it came on the failed fielder's choice by Aaliyah Logaleo late in the 3rd inning.
You know, and just watching Hendricks throughout this game, you can tell just from the first inning, she kind of has a different demeanor about herself. She looks a little bit more confident in there coming into the circle.
1-1 hit hard to short. Caceres Mayer across the diamond, 1 out. To start the game, Lindsey Hendricks walked a batter, hit the next one. It was almost like that third batter, the Valerie Cagle strikeout, was where she really started to settle in and feel comfortable.
Cami Pereira, number 12.
Second chance for Cami Pereira. And she hacks with a big swing there on the first pitch, but misses 0-1. Hit a ball on a rope towards right field the first time. Shows bunt, misses. Well, they say it tipped off the bat foul, but didn't get a big chunk of it. And quickly, it's 0-2. Syracuse head coach Shannon Depking says she just wants to get 5 innings out of each starter. Hendricks well on the way right now through 3 1/3. Likely to see another pitcher come in for SU at some point in this game. Maybe it's Alexa Romero, who started game 1. Maybe it's Kaya Oliver. Just high there. Good check from Cami Pereira, who thought about swinging.
Well, Syracuse is definitely going to use their pitching staff, and that's what they're going to do to keep this Clemson offense a little bit more off-balanced.
2-2, hard hit right field. Going back, and Hasso won't get it. She's having trouble with the ball as Pereira ends up standing at second with a double.
Pereira just has the hot bat all weekend. I mean, going 3 for 3 yesterday, had still a great hit in her first at bat to right field earlier in this game, and now just a big hit going right back at Angel Hasso and said, "You're not going to catch this one."
Now 4 for 5 in the series. Last weekend, or not last weekend, 2 weeks ago, the last time Clemson played a series, she was just 2 for 11. But trying to get back over 300 is Pereira, who came into the game today at 294.
And she's doing a great job in that 9-hole, you know, really being able to turn over the lineup and get to some of those big hitters like Mackenzie Clark coming up, Valerie Cagle, Mattamore.
The more modern 9 hitter. Not just the hitter that you have the least confidence in like it used to be decades ago. Now it's someone who can get on base because they're going to be on in front of your second and third. And some action right now in the Syracuse bullpen as Hendricks is having a little bit of trouble here in the 4th.
And they have Miranda Hearn and Jolie Gustave. Both those pitchers are righties, so something different than what Clemson has seen all weekend. And Miranda Hearn is going to throw a lot of that off-speed kind of you're seeing from Hendricks right now.
Another liner, this one right at Hasso. Good placement in Hendricks' perspective. Of course, not good for Clark, who's retired for the second time today, and now 2 outs in the 4th.
The shortstop, number 8.
Hearn's pretty inexperienced this season, Faith. Only 2 appearances spanning 2 2/3 innings. What does she bring versus what could you see from Gustave?
Well, Gustave's going to have a little bit more speed. She kind of likes to expand the zone, where Miranda Hearn is going to really keep it off speed. She is going to want these hitters to stay off balance, and really say, hey, you got to wait on my pitch and try to take it to the right side, or else you're just going to roll over all day and my defense will make plays.
Still on the mound right now, though, is Lindsey Hendricks, the freshman, with a single run allowed almost through the 4th. First pitch, strike to Gilstrap. Someone she has yet to solve today. Gilstrap was hit in the back by a pitch in the first inning. Infield single in the 3rd, came around to score.
And Gilstrap has actually been super interesting. She actually came back from a huge injury last year where a piece of her brain was sticking out of the base of her skull in the back. And she jokes about it, saying it's because that's how smart I am. and she actually had to have surgery, so she missed the inaugural season for Clemson last year. And now, you know, she's come back, and Coach Rittman says that she is leading by example, and she loves the game, and she plays with a lot of passion. And you can definitely see that out of her. I mean, she looks focused every time she steps into that bat, and she's a key player on that infield.
I'll try to play doctor. She had a Chiari malformation. Piece of the brain sticking out of her skull. And because she transferred after 2018 from USC upstate, she then had to sit out a year in 19, and then this medical condition caused her to miss 20. So she hadn't played in 3 years before this season. Check swing foul there, stays alive.
And I'm sure she was definitely, you know, missing the game. You can practice as much as you want, but, you know, just being able to come back and actually see live pitching is huge.
She's made her third season of playing in college baseball count, hitting over 300, but she can't get a hit there. Another strikeout for Gilstrap, the third one. Syracuse still leads. More coming up. The Orange look for insurance in the bottom of the fourth inning as we reach the midpoint here between Syracuse and Clemson. But there are other games that Syracuse and Clemson have to worry about. Florida State, who sits in second, one spot behind Clemson in the ACC, is leading Pittsburgh 3-0. Pitt is a team 2 spots behind Syracuse, trying to catch the Orange. And then Notre Dame is in the middle of the pack. Boston College right near the bottom. Teams of concern for both Clemson and Syracuse as well. Ben Schulman and Faith Kane here for Syracuse and Clemson from Skytop Stadium. The Orange hold the lead right now in the fourth inning, which was longer than they managed last game, as Mackenzie Clark in the last game gave Clemson the lead in the third. And trying to maintain it are Torres, Martin, and Clyde to begin the inning here. Second time around the order for the 6, 7, and 8 hitters. How much easier, or is it easier, the second time around the order to really time up these pitchers?
Well, every time you get to know more and more about a pitcher, and as they go throughout the game, a pitcher too starts to get a little tired. Her ball may get a little bit more flat than what you've seen earlier in the game. So you definitely learn every pitch, and you should be watching every at-bat, even of your teammates, to know what Millie Thompson's tendencies are. And today we've seen a lot of that curveball on the outside corner, really trying to take it to these lefties on the outside, and then same thing with the righty. She's keeping it on the outside corner, and this Orange offense really needs to sit back, wait on it, take it to the right side.
What kinds of information do you take from one at-bat and use in the next? Like if you could give a specific example.
Well, sometimes you just really get to see how she's trying to set you up. For instance, a hitter may come up and say, okay, Thompson starts on the outside with her, and then she comes hard in.
Good setup there. Gets Torres on a strikeout swinging, which brings up Tony Martin. And earlier in the game, Martin was the one that got Syracuse on the board.
She is the reason why Syracuse is up 2-1 right now, and it's all thanks to this big double. And it was a huge hit for Martin. This is someone that has struggled all season at the plate, and I think she's starting to find her stride, especially on senior day.
Came into the game under the Mendoza line at 190. But she's had the most impactful hit so far in this series. All 4 of Syracuse's runs, 2 today, 2 yesterday, coming off extra base hits. Swing and a miss there. Quickly down 0-2 is Martin. It was Tony Martin's first double since April 9th against Boston College. First extra base hit of any sort. 0-2. Just misses, I'm not sure where, but it's a ball.
And when you have 2 strikes like that, anything that's close to the plate, you definitely want to at least try to foul off in a situation like that.
So she looked at the close one, then swung at one that bounced in the dirt. And that's now 3 consecutive strikeouts for Millie Thompson heading back to the last out of the third inning. With 2 outs, Rebecca Clyde, who struck out in the second inning, is going to try and change it. Starts Clyde off with a strike. Thompson, kind of opposite of Hendricks, at least early on, has really gotten in front of batters, whereas Hendricks was having to work from behind. 0-1 in the dirt.
Well, the thing about Thompson is she says she really likes to project her intimidation. She likes to be unique and different. She says she has that eye black, makes her look intimidating. And you can hear her too. She likes to grunt out there, and she says it helps her release the energy. And it also, a little bit of intimidation as well. And she says she likes to be different in a way that she'll change her hair color. She'll even have like pink and purple hair. She doesn't have that today, but in the past, and she says it really shows that I'm a fierce competitor.
It's worked out for her this year, sub-3 ERA. 1-2 to Clyde outside. Up to 5 strikeouts here in the fourth. Her season high is 10. Two. Ground ball foul. Stuff like intimidation, like the grunting, like the eye black. Are you paying attention to that when you're at the plate going back, or are you so focused on trying to hit the ball that it's not necessarily of your concern at that point?
Well, as a hitter, you definitely can't be thinking about it. If you are thinking about it and can hear it, that usually means you're not zoned in.
Clyde puts a charge in a ball to left field, but Cagle ranges over to catch it, and it's a quick inning in the bottom of the fourth. Clemson now looks to add on in the fifth. We're getting to that time of year where even though it's still the regular season, you can't focus on anything, but the upcoming playoffs, the ACC tournament, is close for potentially both these teams. Number one, Clemson will obviously get there, but Syracuse hanging on to one of the latter spots in the top 10 of the ACC, likely to get into the tournament as well. And this is a contest that has been dominated by Florida State, but perhaps a bit of a changing of the guard here.
You know, the ACC has been dominant this year, and it's really cool to watch because now you have Clemson, Duke, Virginia Tech, and Florida State all ranked in the top 25. And it's just gotten so much more competitive. Florida State used to roll through the ACC. They've won the regular season for the last 5 years. And now we're about to have a program like Clemson come in and take that number 1 seed as long as they can win these 2 games today.
Valerie Cagle, a big reason. She rolls over a pitch to second. Tehran to first, dropped. Almer couldn't hold on. Pretty close play, but looks like it'll likely be scored an error.
And that's one of those tough spots. You know, Cagle put out a big swing on it, and it just was a super slow roller, and Gabby Tehran really had to flip it over there super quick. Almer just couldn't hang on to it, and that's a huge out. So definitely missed on that one.
And then Gimbarda immediately makes the Orange pay. A deep drive to center field, and the Tigers take the lead.
Huge at bat for Gimbarda to come up. Big home run, but that just shows you little errors like that can mean a huge difference. Now it's 3-2, Clemson up. But if we would have gone in the past, you know, without that error, we would have a tie ball game. So those are huge, and you can tell Hendricks left that ball right in the middle of that plate. And you could tell when she turned around, she knew it.
A talented hitter like Gimbarda, always going to make you pay. 12 home runs now on the season, a team leading 40 RBIs. And the biggest hit thus far puts Clemson in the lead for the first time today. Syracuse started with the lead in yesterday's game as well, and a 2-run home run gave Clemson a lead that they would lose to a tie, but then eventually regain. Now a 2-run home run hurting the Orange again. Can Lindsay Hendricks bounce back now and try and at least get SU through the fifth, the all-important threshold that SU head coach Shannon Depking pointed out to us this week? Falls behind early here on Grace Mattimore, the first baseman. Mattimore hasn't lifted the bat off her shoulder yet today. Walks both in the second and third inning, and a ball away from another one. A walk there, and we already saw some bullpen arms warming up earlier. Feels like we could get pretty close here to a pitching change for the Orange.
And this is the time where Hendricks really needs to hone in. You know, she gave up that big home run, but come back and say, you know what, no one's getting another one off of me. You can tell, even with that walk, that's the last thing you want to do when you give up a home run. You want to come back and you want to come out firing. Now you have a runner on first, kind of coming out thinking, you know, a little shaken up, you could tell with that last at-bat, and that's the last thing you want to do in this situation.
Pinch running for Clemson, number 6, Carly Shannon.
Carly Shannon into pinch run right now for Mattimore. And you just saw earlier Kaya Oliver warming up in the bullpen. So really, all three pitchers not named Lex Romero that feature in this staff have warmed up at some point.
Well, I'm sure we're probably going to see Romero in Game 2 today because she will definitely probably get the start. But it's surprising. Kaya Oliver, she's warming up in there, and she's usually someone that gets the start in this second game. But Coach Depking is all about matchup. So Hendricks throws that off speed, and that's her type of game, which is why she, you know, Coach Depking may think that Clemson doesn't do well with slower pitching.
Pinch runner Carly Shannon wastes no time getting down to second base with a steal there. And the Tigers are threatening for the second time this inning a runner in scoring position.
And it looks like she was actually called out for leaving early. Now, when you're on the bases, your foot cannot come off the bag until the pitcher releases the ball. And you can tell right there that Carly Shannon actually left when the ball was on the backswing by Hendricks.
Shannon had stolen successfully 17 out of 17 times this season. And leaving early gets her first out. And that's a big boost to Lindsay Hendricks, who now with the bases empty, deals to Logaleo, who hits it hard to short. Casares Mayer across the diamond, cannot make the play. Second time today that she's been forced into the 6-hole, and Casares Mayer does not have a ton of good footing out there, couldn't get it across.
And that just seems to be the spot today for Clemson. They just want to hit it right in the hole. And Nelly Casares Mayer, that's a really tough play to make, especially with that grass wet out there as well.
First hit for Logaleo today. She's 1 for 3. Morgan Johnson looking for her first hit. Struck out to end the third inning and grounded into a fielder's choice in the second. Big swing, foul ball, gets down over the head of the third baseman, Rebecca Clyde.
Thompson is another player this year that's, you know, overcome a lot during her college career. She actually torn her ACL right before the pandemic hit last year. And so she had to go through rehab, which in a way it's kind of like a blessing that the pandemic happened. Now, you know, you didn't really miss much. You didn't miss many games. But she also said what was really tough is the fact that she had to go home and rehab without the athletic training staff at Clemson due to the pandemic. But what was so great is she came back this year, and within her fourth at bat, she just sent one over the fence. So she obviously was like, I'm back and I'm ready to play.
Has hit very well this year. 350 in limited opportunities. Swing and a miss there. Throw down to second. Safe. But Johnson strikes out. And Hendricks has her second out of the inning.
And that may have been a hit and run situation, anything like that. But Gianna Torres, she did a great job getting that ball down to second base, but the ball was just thrown a little bit off mark. And that's something that Coach Depking has really been trying to work on with her catchers, is getting that steal stopped, because that is something that this Syracuse team has struggled with for years. And so that was key, and Coach Depking being a catcher herself, she's like, you know, I got to teach these girls how to get runners out at second.
It worked yesterday. Torres threw out Cagle once, but one person caught stealing, Carly Shannon, this inning, but not because of a throw down to second. Shannon rather left early. And Hendricks working from behind in the score for the first time all game in this 5th inning. Gave up a home run to Marissa Gimbarda earlier. Great location there on the 1-1. Near impossible pitch to go out and try and hit right on the outside corner. Getting close to 100 pitches for the freshman. The 1-2. Too high, 2-2. Only one of the 3 runs against Hendricks earned today. There was a failed fielder's choice that forced in the first, and Cagle reached based on an error before coming in to score on that home run from Gimbarda. Can Hendricks cap off a good day with a strikeout here? Liner to the right side, down in the gap into right center field. Logaleo comes in to score. Standing on second is Hyatt with a double. And Clemson's doubling up Syracuse.
That was a pitch that Hendricks just left right over the plate. That was her off speed, and she decided to hang that a little bit. And JoJo Hyatt did a great job just sitting back, waiting on that pitch, taking it over to right center field.
Perhaps fatigue setting in. That's why, now 2 balls have been hung up in the strike zone for Gimbarda and now Hyatt.
Definitely. I mean, fatigue can start setting in already on about to be the 100th pitch of the game for Hendricks. And it looks like there's even a pitching change coming up.
Now pitching for the Orange.
Syracuse wants to mix it up in the circle. They come back with Kaya Oliver on the other side. SU goes to the bullpen and brings out Kaya Oliver to try to help the Orange get out of the 5th inning and perhaps even more. Faith, what does Oliver bring to the table?
Oliver is going to mix her speed. She throws hard and loves her drop ball, so you're going to see a lot of ground balls from her today. Not a huge strikeout pitcher, but she's going to let her defense work as well. She just needs to make sure that she's really hitting her spots and using that changeup.
Last appearance was on the 2nd against Virginia Tech. Allowed a run on 2 hits in 1 inning pitch. Struggled a little bit more the day before against the Hokies, giving up 4 earned runs and recording just 1 out. All she needs is 1 here to get to the dugout. Cami Pereira trying to flip over the lineup. First pitch, strike. Ben Schulman and Faith Kane here for this 2nd of 4 matchups between Clemson and Syracuse to close out the season. Today is senior day. Oliver's 0-1 is true again. How much of an adjustment is it when you go from hitting a lefty and then to a righty or vice versa within a game?
Overall, you really don't think about, whether there's a lefty or a righty out there.
A good job done there from Oliver with a swinging strikeout, and the Orange are down 1, trying to get back here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Senior day here in the 315 as Syracuse honors some of its long-standing players. Faith, there are a ton of really important people to the Syracuse program that are playing their final home series over these next 2 days.
They are going to be losing a lot of key players. Leilani Mayfield, she's going to go play out in California, though, for her 5th year. And then, Alex Acevedo hasn't got much playing time this year, but Alexa Romero, too, who has been a bright spot, obviously, in the pitching circle. And then Paris Woods stepping up, which, she's kind of actually up in the air. May actually be coming back next year because she has that extra eligibility due to COVID. But right now, it's questionable.
And Coach Depking told us, too, that Nelly Casares-Mayer is also coming back. So that's a big, not addition, re-addition, someone bringing back to the team. But the Orange losing a lot of great players and also great teammates. we asked Deb King about some of the biggest losses. She said Tehran in terms of a softball perspective, but she really couldn't pinpoint which of the players meant the most to the team because on a personal level, they all meant a lot.
You know, and most of these seniors, too, they are all part of this starting lineup, and they're keys into turning this Syracuse team into a completely different culture. You know, they've really been able to step up since their freshman year. I was able to play along, you know, with Gabby Tehran and Leilani Mayfield, and they've completely changed this team around since they've been freshmen.
A big goal for this group was to reach a regional, and Deb King acknowledged the fact that that is a lofty goal this season. And she was sad that this group may not be able to get there. But she says in a few years when this program continues on the upswing, a lot of the credit is going to go to people like Tehran. Ball on the ground. Ulmer sneaks it through the middle under the diving glove of Pereira. And Syracuse with a base hit to lead off the fifth.
And Callie Ulmer coming through clutch on her senior day. She did a great job with that slap, just going right up the middle. And she was someone that struggled at the plate yesterday. Part of the reason why she may be in that 9-hole position, but now she's coming clutch. Maybe that's just the hot spot to be in.
Paris Woods did fine yesterday, going 2 for 3. Today, Callie Ulmer 1 for 2 after going 0 for 4 yesterday with 3 strikeouts. Now Paris Woods at the plate herself. Swings at the first pitch and is a little late, fouls it off. All these seniors have this and 2 more games, but they're not going to leave this program empty-handed. We were shown a swag bag, as SU head coach Shannon Deb King mentioned. There were some shoes. There was a lot of goodies in there, lots of gear as a bunt is put down in foul territory. Faith, I've heard you didn't get a swag bag and you want an overdue swag bag sent to you?
You know, she showed off the swag bags, and they're getting a lot. So hopefully they're not listening to this at all. They better not be. But they have a lot of cool, you know, shoes in that bag. And, you know, I never got that when I was a senior. So, you know, yeah, it's kind of overdue.
A lot of the players getting Air Maxes. Some have already been awarded Air Maxes, so they're getting a different pair of shoes then, but some good gifts for the departing seniors. One of them's on first in Callie Ulmer, trying to move her over Paris Woods. 1-2 off the end of the bat, roller towards short. This could be 2 to second for 1. Back to first, not in time. Fielder's choice for Woods, and an out recorded by Millie Thompson.
The right fielder, number 28, Angel Hasso.
What do you remember from your senior day, Faith?
Number 28.
You know, my senior day was actually super interesting. It was a great game, and Coach Bosch at the time decided, you know, I'm starting all the seniors. So we all got a chance, and we actually it was tied with North Carolina, and Rachel Burkhart at the time stepped up, hit a solo home run in the bottom of the 7th on her senior day to win the game. So there really is just a lot more camaraderie and, you know, just a little bit more pumped up on your senior day.
So there's a real senior day effect. Like you can get better results by being amped up on senior day.
You really do. You know, you come out and you're like, this is my last time I'm going to get to play on this field, and you just want to go out with a bang.
Now one of the youngsters at the plate, Angel Hasso, is up, and she's at a 1-1 count. 0 for 2 thus far, hasn't made solid contact yet, a strikeout, and then she rolled the ball over to first base. Solid contact there, but right at the first baseman, Mattimore, who makes the catch, steps on the bag, and that's a double play. Syracuse still trails by 2. The Orange continue with Kaya Oliver next. Second inning of work upcoming for Kaya Oliver, the Syracuse reliever, who takes over with the Orange trailing by 2. Ben Schulman and Faith Kane on deck for this Syracuse and Clemson matchup. That's 1 of 4 to end the season for the Orange and Tigers. Oliver started out her appearance with a strikeout to end the inning against Cami Pereira, but it doesn't get easy going into the 6th. She gets 1, 2, 3. Mackenzie Clark, Ansley Gilstrap, and then Valerie Cagle to begin this inning. Mackenzie Clark, despite her success coming into the game hitting .360, does not have a hit today. Reached on a walk in the first inning, a flyout, and a lineout since.
The center fielder, number 7, Mackenzie Clark. Number 7.
Mackenzie Clark, who earned the nickname Pie Clark in high school because she used to eat a slice of preferably strawberry pie before every game.
I'm surprised. I don't think I could eat a slice of pie
it feels
before every
counterproductive.
game. I don't think she does it anymore, but she also says, she yelled pie during a team huddle, and then ever since the nickname Pie just stuck.
She likes pie. She's made that pretty clear. She is from around the Sarasota, Florida native area, which is just a little south of Tampa. 1-1 low, but seems like that's where Torres wanted it. They just couldn't get Clark to bite. No pun intended with all the pie references that we've been making so far. Oliver's 2-1 pitch, grounded up the middle. Casares Mayer cuts it off and makes the routine play over to first to retire Clark.
The shortstop, number 8, Ansley Gilstrap. Number 8.
Syracuse has run a little cold on offense, Faith. The last run scored for the Orange are back in the second. How important is it to have a quick inning here on the defensive side and get back to the sticks?
Well, definitely want to hold Clemson here. Don't want them to get ahead any more than just by 2 runs, especially for the Syracuse offense that struggles. But that's kind of what's tough for this team, too, is they know they don't put a lot of runs up on the board. So if they don't hold Clemson to at least, 2-3 runs, it's going to be tough to beat them.
Coach Depking said that they have to at least, or at most, hold teams to 2 to 3 run separation. They're not going to be able to come back from more than that. Check swing, and it's off the handle there from Gilstrap. Maybe they take the Pitt Panther approach. I mean, the Panthers trailing to Florida State. They just had to keep it a little close yesterday, and then Pittsburgh hit a walk-off in the 7th inning to upset the Seminoles.
And, right now Clemson has 4, but if they score 1 more, they're actually 24-0 this season when they score 5 runs or more, which is definitely a statistic that's hard to overcome.
So it would seem important here that Oliver keep Clemson at 4. Speaking of Pitt, Florida State, we were talking to Coach Depking, and she casually just says, Florida State's texting us saying, are you going to grab one from Clemson? Are you going to grab one from Clemson? As a liner there is shot towards short, right into the glove of Casares Mayer. I honestly didn't think she was being serious. I just thought it was a little facetious. I asked her, there are texts being exchanged, and she said, I bet that Clemson and Pitt are texting each other as well. So it's almost like 2 large teams have been formed here. It's SU and FSU against Clemson and Pittsburgh here for whose results benefit each other.
Well, overall, everyone's, focusing on this weekend before the ACC tournament, but everyone knows what's going on, and rooting for one team to beat the other, and these coaches are all so close. And I'm sure, FSU, they lost to Pitt, and that was huge for Clemson. And if Syracuse could take at least 1 or 2 from Clemson, it's going to be a close run for that first-place spot.
FSU's got to do the job, though. I mean, they were up 3-0 last time we checked. Pittsburgh scored twice. It's 3-2. Valerie Cagle, ground ball to the left side. Clyde gathers, throws. And that'll do it for the top of the 6th inning. The Orange need to put up some more runs. They're trailing by 2, but they have an opportunity in the bottom of the 6th inning. More on ACC Network. 6 more outs for the Orange to try to claw back against the Tigers of Clemson. And Syracuse needs a little more offense. They haven't gotten any since the 2nd inning, and a win could help Syracuse cement its spot in the ACC tournament that is coming up very soon. Right now, Syracuse sits in the 8th spot, and the key is that the seeding is based on conference win percentage because everyone got a different number of games this year. They can't do straight games back or games ahead of each other, so that makes it a little more complicated when you're trying to calculate all these scenarios between Syracuse at 8, Georgia Tech at 9, and Pittsburgh at 10. Clemson as well sitting at the top against Florida State. They just need to win 2 more games en route to 1 today, and they bring in Reagan Spencer, not the former Syracuse field hockey goalie, but instead a Clemson pitcher. Reagan Spencer comes in relief of Millie Thompson.
And Spencer, Coach Rittman says that she's fought back from some injuries and is really a key part of this pitching staff. Now, one thing that Syracuse saw last weekend, they saw Keely Rochard in all 4 games. The thing that Clemson does is they use all their pitchers. They're going to work their entire pitching staff, and that's going to be key for the postseason when they start facing these top 10 teams.
Reagan Spencer might be one of their best weapons behind Cagle and Millie Thompson, who start a lot of the games. A 1.64 ERA, but she misses on the first pitch. Spencer leads the team in whip, walks and hits per innings pitched at 0.81. A swing and a ground ball there from Casares Mayer, busting it to first, but she can't get there in time. Spencer's a freshman out of Lexington, North Carolina, which is just north of Charlotte, and she has done incredibly well this year considering it's her first season. She was highly recruited, and for a freshman to succeed this well is extraordinary for most teams. For Clemson, it just kind of seems to be the norm where freshmen are doing things that juniors and seniors should do.
The fact that these 3 pitchers are going to be out in the circle for Clemson for the next 4 years is a scary thought for other teams in the ACC. Even speaking to Coach Deb King, she was like, I have to see Valerie Cagle for 4 years. 4 years. She is only a freshman.
Tehran puts a drive into a ball, but it's popped up into shallow center field, and that's an easy catch for Clark. On the opposite side, Clemson head coach John Rittman was pretty happy about all of it. I think he's quite ecstatic, I think, at the fact that his team has played so well so early. This Clemson team was picked to finish 6th in the ACC this season, and of course are first right now. And before last season, they were picked to finish 10th. I think they kind of got 6th because they played so well last year, went 5-1 in conference play before the season shut down. Leilani Mayfield right now in the left-handed hitter's batting box. And pardon me, you go ahead, Faith.
Well, for a team to be able to come in, for their first season, now pandemic year, yes, that was their inaugural season, but first full season, and win the conference is huge and not something that you hear about very often at all. So they've definitely done a great job, this Clemson coaching staff, on recruiting. Now, one thing that Coach Rittman said that was such a struggle is, softball recruiting. You recruit players when they're like in 8th and 9th grade. And I was one of those players actually that fell victim to that. I committed to the University of Nebraska at age 13. And, all these players already have homes, and then now you have a team that's just about to form, and you need to find players that maybe have been missed and try to get them to this program for a brand new team.
Rittman's figured it out, though. I mean, he has picked up great recruits like Cagle out of Yorktown, Virginia, near Richmond, and he's brought in some solid transfers as well, whether it be grads or just upperclassmen. A walk there for Leilani Mayfield, her second of the game.
Number 40.
Well, the one thing that just seems to be happening over and over again that we're hearing from these Clemson players is they said, you know, family is really what brought me here. And Mackenzie Clark, one of the top outfield recruits in the entire country, I mean, she chose Clemson over a team like Florida, who's now ranked 5th or 4th in the nation, top 5. And she says the reason why is because I want to be a part of something new. I want to be a leader, and I want to be a part of a brand new program. And Coach Rittman, that's what he has sold for this team, to get these recruits to come to Clemson.
Pinch runner into the game for Leilani Mayfield. It's Ryan Gallegos. Freshman on first with Gina Torres at the plate. Reagan Spencer, 2 outs here in her first inning of work in this game. Coming in relief for Millie Thompson, who had a really solid start. Swing and a miss there from Torres. Thompson's day ends with 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. One of those Ks came against Gina Torres last time out in the 4th. Gianna's got a hitter's count right now, though, 2-1. Fouled off hard into the net. Gianna Torres coming into this one had 2 hits in the last 3 games, which is a massive improvement considering in the 7 games prior to that was hitless. 2-2 on the ground up the third base line. Scooped up by Logaleo. She ends the inning. Clemson with one more chance to add insurance in the top of the 7th inning. The final frame coming up. Clemson leads Syracuse right now. A big reason, this hit from Marissa Gimbarda.
She's really the one that kind of broke open this game. Clemson had been following most of this game, but really decided to take the lead with that big home run.
She knocked in Cagle, who had reached on an error at the time. The score went from 2-1 Syracuse to 4-2 Clemson in the top of the 5th, and the Tigers have held the lead ever since, thanks to the 12th home run on the season for Marissa Gimbarda. Now she's got a chance to add some insurance for what will likely be Reagan Spencer coming out in the bottom of the 7th inning to try and close out Syracuse.
Marissa Gimbarda.
Kaya Oliver, the Syracuse reliever, remains in the circle. Now through an inning and a third and has gone 4 for 4 in terms of retiring batters. Ben Schulman and Faith Kane here for game 1 of this doubleheader. Syracuse and Clemson will face off again about 30 minutes after the conclusion of this game. And should Clemson hold on to this win, the next game would be for the ACC regular season title. With Florida State's loss yesterday, the Tigers need just 2 more wins to lock up an incredible feat. Only 2 teams ever have won the ACC regular season title in their first season in the conference. But the other one was Florida State, who had existed previously and then came into the conference. For Clemson, I mean, they responded in 2020, and now we're doing really well in 2021. Gimbarda starts off the inning strong with a walk. With the Syracuse offense struggling to score runs as is, really important that Oliver keeps it here at just a 2-run deficit for the Orange. And now we'll get a pinch runner in the game from head coach John Rittman.
Number 27, Grace McElroy. Number 27.
Ariel Oda pinch runs right now for Gimbarda. Oda's got a lot of speed, and she showed it on a diving catch earlier in the season that got her on the SportsCenter top 10. Matamore shows bunt, pulls back and swings, hits the ball to right field, and it loops into the glove of Hasso. A lot of work there to fly out, but that's an incredibly athletic play there from Matamore.
So probably what Matamore was trying to do there is sometimes you pull back the bat either to get your timing or it's to draw in the defense. So I'm sure she was trying to draw on the defense there. Let them think that she's about to bunt, but in actuality, she's going to scream it right past her head.
I mean, I'm impressed that she made contact there. Ball gets away. Oda heads to second easily. Her hands were completely separate, and that's not entirely foreign to the softball game. I've seen a few batters here and there that will hit with their hands apart, but that was not what Matamore was doing earlier in the game. And to be able to make contact still with Oliver's fastball with your hands completely off kilter, really impressive. Was still a flyout, though, and now Logaleo trying to do better and knock in Oda from second.
Well, when you hit with a split grip like that, it's one of those things just trying to get your barrel to bat so you have a little bit more control rather than having that long barrel without that split grip.
Is it something you ever tried?
I have done it a few times. It's usually when you start struggling in the box and you're not seeing it very well. Obviously, Matamore has not been struggling.
One. Outside 2-1. Logaleo had an infield single in the 5th inning and came around to score on a JoJo Hyatt double. Hyatt's in the hole right now. Morgan Johnson looms on deck. Oliver works back ahead of the count. Loud yelling going on from the dugouts now. Both teams trying to will their respective players through what's an incredibly crucial at-bat here in the top of the 7th inning.
Well, this is kind of tune-up and pump-up for the ACC tournament next week. And, I mean, this is the last time that these teams are going to get to play until they start going into postseason.
Mentioned it earlier, this could be a matchup in the ACC tournament. Syracuse is the 8th seed right now. And if things froze that way, ball chopped in front of home, foul. Things stayed the same way. Syracuse would play the 9 seed in a play-in game in which the winner would play the number 1, which is currently Clemson. It's far from a favorable matchup to play Clemson, but considering the way things have gone against teams like Florida State and Virginia Tech, perhaps Clemson is a good matchup. Fly ball to right field caught by Hasso, tagging runner to third. Oda's there safely.
Well, definitely for Syracuse, I think out of all games, they've had the best and closest luck with Clemson right now, at least for these first 2 games. Not a team that you want to see like Florida State in the second round of the ACC tournament, where they really struggled against them earlier.
Syracuse dropped games to Florida State, 13-1, 9-0. Casey Bigham comes in to hit for Morgan Johnson. Johnson had been 0 for 3. With a potential insurance run 60 feet away, Bigham swings, sends it out to center field, but not a lot of movement needed there from Tony Martin, and that'll end the inning. It's last at-bats for Syracuse in a few moments coming up. Closing time for Clemson here as Reagan Spencer tries to help the Tigers win this game over Syracuse and get one step closer to the ACC regular season title. But standing in Clemson's way is the Syracuse offense. And coming up first for the Orange is Tony Martin. And that might be a good omen considering Martin has the only RBIs today for Syracuse on a double back in the second.
She saw that pitch very, very well. Been struggling, was able to make adjustments. But, yeah, definitely you probably want to see her first rather than later in this lineup, especially in this last inning.
One of the many senior day honorees here. You talked about a walk-off for a senior on your senior day. Of course, Martin can't walk it off here, but perhaps she can help start a win for Syracuse. The Orange need base runners, and right now the batter on deck represents the tying run. Ben Schulman and Faith Kane here for Syracuse and Clemson. This is game 1 of a doubleheader. We will be back for the second game after the conclusion of this. Spencer keeps the ball a little too low. A good look from Martin. Count is 1-0. Tony Martin came into this game 0 for her last 18 with 12 strikeouts, but today a double and then another strikeout, and now a ball off the handle, foul. Depking said early in the season that Martin was the best hitter on the team, and she came out really hot, hit home runs in the first 2 games, hit another one 4 games later, but things just started to go a little bit downhill as February turned to March and then to April.
Well, the one thing for Martin is she is super passionate for this game, and she kind of wears her emotions right on the sleeve, which is something that Coach Depking said that they were working on this year. But she's definitely been a leader for her time here at Syracuse, and just seeing her being able to grow. You know, I was able to play with Martin with her as a freshman, and she was kind of in and out of the game and, you know, in her head quite a bit, but she's definitely calmed down a lot and really been a leader.
Good swing there on a 3-1, shallow left field, backing up. Gilstrap makes the catch. 2 more outs for the Tigers.
Batting for the Orange, number 22, Jude Padilla.
Jude Padilla is going to come in to hit for Rebecca Clyde. And what's the implication of this change here, Faith? What does Padilla bring? Big swing from Padilla there, shallow left field. A catch made by Cagle.
I think right now Coach Depking is just trying to find some people in the lineup. You know, if the bats have been cold for some players, you know, get someone else in there to give a different look. And I think that's why Jude came into the lineup right there for Clyde.
Clyde had been 0 for 2. Now it's an 0 for 3 from the 2 of those hitters combined. And down to the final out, Callie Ulmer is up. She did have a base hit to center field back in the 5th inning. The Oranges only hit since the 3rd. Spencer deals.
It looks like McKenna Fiddler came in here for the pinch hit. And Fiddler is someone that Coach Depking just says is one of her favorite people.
Fiddler pops it up. Matamore comes in, and the Tigers win. Another 4-2 victory for Clemson over Syracuse. Tight games between the number 1 and number 8 team in the conference, but the Tigers continue to prevail despite this performance today from Hendricks. The Orange were dancing, but the Tigers' growl was a little too much thanks to this home run from Marissa Guimbarda, and Clemson goes up 2-0 in the series.